You ever see a man slowly die with a smile on his face? He's usually the one carrying the grocery bags, fixing the Wi-Fi, nodding through arguments he knows he can't win, and sitting across from a woman at dinner who once screamed his name with passion. Now she barely acknowledges him with a glance. He doesn't even realize he's fading. He thinks he's being strong, being mature, being everything she said she wanted, patient, stable, a good man. But here's what he doesn't see. He's not becoming a better partner. He's disappearing. One apology at a time. One "it's okay" at a time. One fake smile at a time. And the cruelest part? He signed up for it. He volunteered to die like this, quietly, politely, romantically. Now, let me ask you a question most men never say out loud. Why do women never seem to want what they say they want? They ask for vulnerability, but chase men who treat them like they're just another appointment in their calendar. They say they want partnership, but seem to crave dominance. They preach about wanting a nice guy, but ghost him the moment he listens too closely or cares too much. Schopenhauer, the philosopher, called this a biological paradox. I call it a crucifixion, because men today are being nailed to expectations that were never real to begin with. Expectations that contradict biology, psychology, even reality. Here's the kicker. She's not lying to you. She's not trying to be manipulative or heartless. She just doesn't know what she wants. Because what she says she wants, that's cultural, that's social conditioning. But what she responds to, that's nature. That's thousands of years of biology whispering in her gut. And nature? Nature doesn't care about your love letters. Nature doesn't care you showed up when her cat died. Nature doesn't reward consistency, politeness, or devotion. Nature rewards survival, not submission. And you think you can love your way out of that? You think loyalty and flowers and emotional honesty are going to override 1,000,000 years of instinct? Let me tell you something, and depending on where you are in your journey, this will either wake you up or break you. She doesn't want your love. She wants your gravity. She wants to feel like she's falling into something she can't control, but deeply needs. And the moment you become predictable, soft, always available, always explaining, always accommodating, she won't hate you. She'll just dry up. Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat this. He wrote, "With women, love easily and remains a matter of the will of nature, not of personal feeling." That means the moment you become too comfortable, too accessible, too safe, her biology checks out. Nature doesn't remove weak men from the gene pool with violence. It does it with indifference. She doesn't need to yell. She just stops laughing at your jokes. She doesn't need to cheat. She just stops looking at you with that same fire in her eyes. And you'll blame yourself. You'll double down. You'll buy more flowers. Say "I love you" more often. Be even more understanding. And in doing that, you'll walk deeper into your own erasure. All because no one told you the truth. The more you act like the man she said she wanted, the less you become the man her nature needs to respect. Let that land. The things she says, that's her social voice, that's her PR team. But what she wants, that's ancient, pre-verbal, non-negotiable. You think you're the good guy in her life? If you've ever been dumped after giving her everything, here's the brutal truth. You gave too much. You became nothing. You stopped being the mountain. You became the mud. And that's what Schopenhauer was screaming when he said, men are by nature more capable of objectivity, while women act more as instruments of the species. You hear that? You're not being rejected because you're unworthy. You're being rejected because your devotion made you disposable to her instincts. Remember the first time she looked at you like you were the only man on earth? Her eyes wide, glowing like they just discovered gravity had a name, and it was you. You weren't just charming, you were sacred. That look, that doesn't lie. That's biology lighting up like fireworks. But remember when that look faded and you couldn't figure out why? Because you didn't do anything wrong. In fact, you were more present, more loving, more generous than ever. But the more you gave, the less she responded. And in place of that glow, politeness, distance, emotional fatigue. She was trying to convince herself that she still felt it, but she didn't, and neither of you could admit it. That's because the version of you she worshipped was never the one trying to keep her. It was the version of you that was already whole before she arrived. The one who had direction, purpose, confidence. The man with edges, with boundaries, with self-respect. That's the man who magnetized her. Schopenhauer said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom." That's a gut punch, because most men today, they don't love solitude. They fear it, because their emotions are on lease, rented out to the moods and opinions of a woman who no longer respects them. And once that respect is gone, your kingdom becomes a daycare. You go from king to caretaker without even noticing. She says, "You've changed." But the truth? You softened. And nature does not reward softness without strength. Let me speak this directly to your bones. You cannot negotiate attraction. You cannot earn desire with loyalty. You cannot beg your way into being the man she respects. The more you explain, the less she feels. The more you prove, the less she believes. And the more you bend, the less she sees you as a man. You want to know what respect looks like? It's not her nodding at your every word. It's not her saying thank you when you hold the door. It's not her agreeing with your dreams and clapping from the sidelines. Respect is silent. It's in how she leans in when you speak. It's in how she softens when you enter the room. It's in how she listens, not because you demand it, but because her nervous system feels safer when you're near. But here's the thing. That respect, it doesn't come from how much you love her. It comes from how deeply you love your own life, your mission, your code, your self-command. Most men today have none of that. They've been emotionally neutered, taught to prioritize peace over power, harmony over hunger. And the result? They're emotionally available, but energetically invisible. You ever noticed how some men walk into a room and don't have to say a word, yet every woman notices them? It's not because they're loud or tall or rich. It's because they own their center. Their posture, their breath, their gaze, it's all rooted. And rootedness is rare. We live in a world of anxious men, restless eyes, fidgeting hands, over-explaining every word, seeking permission in the way they laugh. But women? They're biologically wired to scan for strength. Not just physical, emotional, energetic, psychological. They don't even do it consciously. It's in the tilt of their head, the flicker of their pupils, the way their body either opens or locks. That's not her being rude. That's her biology doing threat detection. Because her safety, her very survival, has always depended on it. So when you walk in disconnected from your backbone, seeking validation, avoiding tension, you fail the scan. And no amount of flowers, gifts, or therapy talk will save you after that. Let me say something most people won't dare whisper. You do not need to become more emotionally available. You need to become emotionally grounded. Availability is access. Groundedness is authority. When you're grounded, your presence calms storms. When you're just available, your presence gets washed away by them. Schopenhauer saw this clearly when he wrote, "To live alone is the fate of all great souls." He wasn't glorifying loneliness. He was pointing to the necessary exile a man must endure to forge his essence. You want her to feel magnetized to you again?
then you must be willing to lose her. Because if your identity depends on her staying, you're not a man. You're a hostage to her love. And no woman on earth will remain attracted to a man she has to emotionally babysit. So what do? You stop performing. You stop apologizing for your standards. You stop shrinking just to keep the peace. You say what needs to be said, even if it upsets her. You hold the line, even if it scares you. You protect your mission, even if it means walking away from her. Because here's the paradox. The moment you are truly willing to walk away is the moment she starts to lean in again. Not because you're playing a game, not because you're being cold or manipulative, but because she can finally feel the thing she's been dying to feel since day one, your core. And your core is not built in a relationship. It's built in solitude, in the gym at 6 a.m. when no one's watching, in the journal you write in instead of texting her to soothe your anxiety, in the decisions you make that scare you, but align with your path. You think she fell in love with your sensitivity? She admired it. But what she fell in love with was your direction. You knew where you were going, and she wanted to go with you. But the moment your direction shifted to her mood, her needs, her chaos, she lost the map. And when a woman loses the map, she doesn't argue, she wanders. She becomes confused. She becomes emotionally distant. She says, I just need space, or I don't know what I want anymore. She knows exactly what she wants. She wants to feel you again. Not your nice words, not your endless affirmations. You. The man before the compromise. The man before the collapse. The man she met when your spine was still intact. And let's be honest, you miss him too. That version of you who didn't flinch when life tested him, who didn't need anyone's permission to speak his truth, who moved like he belonged in any room he walked into. You didn't lose that man because of her. You lost him because you started outsourcing your self-worth to her validation. And now, you feel it, that ache, that silent scream inside your chest, that question you're afraid to ask. Am I still a man she can respect? Not love, respect. Because love without respect is charity, and no man should live off emotional handouts. So, what's the first step back? It's not therapy. It's not dating advice. It's not even reading more philosophy. It's remembering your edge. The place in you that doesn't flinch. The place in you that can look her in the eye and say, I won't become less of a man just to keep you. Because the truth is, she's waiting for you to say that. She's praying for it. Because every time she pushes against your frame and finds nothing but softness, she dies a little inside. And you wonder why she doesn't kiss you the same way. It's not the kisses that changed. It's you. Continue with part 3. Continue with part 3. There's something ancient in every man, a silence behind the eyes, a presence that doesn't shout, doesn't beg, doesn't explain. It just is. You can see it in the eyes of warriors in old photographs, in monks who've taken vows of silence, in your grandfather maybe, when he stood alone at the edge of the field, hands behind his back, just watching the horizon. That's not detachment, that's containment. And containment is what every woman is secretly begging for. Not control, not dominance, not bravado or noise. Containment. The ability to hold your own chaos without leaking it onto her. To feel the storm of your anger, sadness, and confusion, and not make her your therapist, your savior, or your emotional sponge. You think intimacy means sharing everything? No. Intimacy means choosing what's worth sharing and having the strength to hold what isn't. Because when you flood her with your unresolved emotions under the banner of vulnerability, you don't bond, you burden. You turn love into labor. And here's what they won't tell you. A woman can forgive your pain, but she will never forgive your weakness if you ask her to carry it for you. The moment she feels like your center, she starts looking for the exits, not because she's cruel, but because she needs your center to rest in.
That's how polarity works. Feminine energy holds. When she becomes the container, the polarity collapses. The dance dies. So what do most men do when that happens? They panic. They double down on emotional openness. They read more books, write longer texts, try to fix the distance. But they don't realize. You can't negotiate desire. You can't talk her back into attraction. You can't perform your way into respect. Because she doesn't want performance. She wants presence. Not the kind you fake on date night. The kind that comes from being anchored in your bones. She wants to feel that if a fire broke out right now, you'd be the one to calmly stand, move her behind you, and handle it. And if that sounds outdated to you, ask yourself why you think evolution cares about your politics. This isn't a gender war. This is biology. This is ancient code. You don't have to dominate her, but you do have to lead yourself. And leadership begins where boyhood ends, at the threshold of solitude. Most men avoid solitude because they're scared of what they'll find. The emptiness, the aimlessness, the echoes of a life spent people-pleasing. But that silence, that's the forge. That's where you meet your edge, where you sit with your shame, your inadequacy, your father wounds, and don't flinch. That's what creates gravity. Not money, not looks, not Instagram quotes. Gravity comes from facing yourself and choosing to stay. No woman can do that for you. She can love you, she can inspire you, but she cannot initiate you into manhood. That's your path, your right, your battle. And the sooner you stop looking to her for permission, the sooner she'll feel safe surrendering. But don't confuse surrender with submission. She doesn't want to be ruled. She wants to relax, to soften, to stop bracing, to stop managing your emotions for you. And she can only do that when she feels this in her bones. This man can hold me, not just physically, energetically, emotionally, psychologically. She wants to be able to lose her mind in your presence and trust that you won't lose yours. But if every time she cries you collapse, if every time she gets angry you apologize just to make it stop, if every time she tests you you flinch, then she's not with a man. She's with a mirror. And she didn't fall in love with a mirror. She fell in love with a mountain. Unshakable, unmoved by the winds of her moods, able to feel her fully without being devoured. So when she pulls away, when she challenges you, when she says things that sound irrational, she's not attacking you. She's asking, "Are you still there? Are you still the man I can trust with my storm?" And if you run from that question, if you try to logic it away, deflect it, or fix it, you've already lost her. Because no woman wants to mother a man who's afraid of her depth. She wants to be met there, with eyes that say, "I see you. You can be wild here. I won't break." You see, she's not testing your logic. She's testing your nervous system. She wants to feel your spine, not your script. So stop trying to figure her out. Stop rehearsing responses in your head. Stop outsourcing your leadership to her emotions. Lead yourself. Stand in your fire. And let her feel that you won't abandon your center, even for her approval. That's what makes a man irresistible. That's what ignites trust.
That's what awakens the deep feminine longing to surrender. Not because she has to, but because your presence makes surrender feel safe again. And here's the final truth for today. When you become that kind of man, she'll stop trying to change you, because she'll feel it. You've already changed yourself. There's a lion in every man. Not the aggressive, chest-thumping kind, but the kind that watches, waits, chooses its moment. The kind that doesn't waste energy proving itself, because it knows what it is. You don't see that lion much these days, because most men were never taught how to find it. They were taught to be nice, to be soft, to always ask for permission. And they wonder why the world doesn't respect them, why women don't respond, why something inside them feels off, like they've been walking with a limp for years and just got used to the pain. But here's the truth. Masculine maturity isn't about being liked. It's about being trustworthy. A man can be intense. He can be fierce. He can even be intimidating. But if he's rooted, if he's clear, if his energy says, "I won't harm you and I won't abandon myself for you," then everyone around him relaxes, because his presence speaks louder than his words. And the women in his life? They stop trying to test him, fix him, lead him, or figure him out, because they can feel. This is a man who knows his direction. This is a man who welcomes feedback but isn't ruled by it. This is a man who can love deeply without becoming dependent. That's rare, and rare things are valuable. So where does this leave you? It leaves you with a decision. You can keep outsourcing your power to women, to praise, to spiritual bypassing dressed as vulnerability. Or you can begin the quiet work, the work no one claps for, the kind that happens in silence before sunrise without a camera. You can rebuild your integrity, your discipline, your nervous system, your sense of grounded self-ownership. And you don't need to move to a monastery to start. You don't need to give up sex or grow a beard or quote Marcus Aurelius. You just need to stop betraying yourself. Every time you say yes when you mean no. Every time you self-abandon just to avoid conflict. Every time you share your pain prematurely, hoping someone else will rescue you. You leak power, and the world feels it. But when you start choosing yourself, cleanly, not cruelly, everything shifts. Not immediately, not dramatically, but unmistakably. People begin responding to you differently. Your voice deepens. Your eyes sharpen. Your decisions get simpler. And your relationships? They stop feeling like negotiations, because you're no longer trying to get something. You're offering something. Presence, clarity, containment. And ironically, that's when you start receiving more respect, more peace, more magnetism. Not because you chased it, but because you became the kind of man who attracts it naturally. And here's the closing truth. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be enlightened. You don't need to never feel fear again. You just need to stay in your body. Stay in your truth. Stay in the fire when it matters most. Because maturity isn't about having no emotion. It's about not being owned by it. Containment isn't suppression. It's choosing what deserves your expression. And masculine presence? It's not a performance. It's not a strategy. It's not a hack to get women to like you. It's the reward for doing the work that most men avoid. The work of becoming your own source. So, if you've made it this far, brother, you already know. Something in you is waking up. Don't let it go back to sleep. Feed it, strengthen it, protect it. And when the world tries to pull you back into boyhood with distractions, validation loops, emotional outsourcing, stand firm. Be the mountain. Be the lion. and let her rest in the stillness of your roar.